Hi, you cuties. I have all the questions written down that you guys asked me for the Q&A, and I have about a dozen questions, so I really appreciate your interest, and I'll answer these as well as I possibly can, and I hope that you enjoy the little video. Okay, the first one is, when did you know that you were gifted? I never really thought of myself as being gifted. When I was really young, I used to make pictures just in pencil of horses, and then I started doing drawings of just celebrities, and my first one was when I was 12 years old. I did a full-size, full-body drawing of Elton John, and let's just say the family thought it was unbelievable, and to me, I figured, well, anyone can do this, so I sort of put it aside, and I would just do horses, and that's all I sort of done until I started back again when I was 27. And I knew that not everyone could do it, so I took it up, and that's my full-time job now, and I love what I do. What kind of eraser or pencil sharpener do you use? As for your erasers, I use the standard white one that I also chisel to any size that I want with my X-Acto, but my very favorite is the kneaded eraser, this one. You can mold it in any shape you want, and it doesn't leave any dust like other erasers do, so this one's really clean, especially when working in charcoal, which is so dirty to start off with. And I also use this eraser by Derwent. It's an electric eraser, and it's not used to erase, it's actually to bring out strands or white areas, so it's really good and can be tough on certain papers, so it's through trial and error that you learn. And as for a pencil sharpener, I have just a regular stainless steel that I love for the pencils, like regular graphite pencils. But for my charcoal, I would never use this. I chisel them with the X-Acto knife. I also have a pastel pencil eraser that's only for pastel pencils. When you use erasers, you cannot use, let's say, this one for charcoal and then switch to that one. It'll ruin the blade. For graphite. If you use one for graphite, it has to stay for graphite. Pastels, only for pastels, or else you'll ruin your expensive pencils. And for the charcoals, this is what I mean when I say I chisel them. It's all chiseled with the X-Acto because I like them to a fine point, and the longer the better, especially when you have to lay it down flat. And I might as well jump to my next question since I have them in my hand. Someone asked, well, they stated, you love your charcoals, Nicole. What brand do you use? Well, this is my favorite brand. It's the Generals. I use the 4B and the 6B in the soft. I buy those by the box. They're the best, and I could do commercials for this company because they are the best charcoals. I love them. And when I need it in dust, I don't buy any dust. I make my own. I just use the sandpaper, and I just sharpen it this way also to have it even more pointy, and then this is perfect to use the dust for certain effects on sandpaper. So I just cleaned it off that, and now I'm all dirty. But that's the joys of working in charcoals. I love it. Okay, and do you love doing commissions? Obviously I do, because I wouldn't do them. They can be very stressful at times, especially when it's people, because I'm my worst critic. as much as I love doing commissions, I have to take a few days off from doing them a couple times a month because I fear that I lose my creativity to do my own stuff. So I have to put them aside and concentrate on my own stuff, which is very much needed from any artist, as they'll tell you, whether they love commissions or not. They need to let loose and do their own thing. So, and yes, I do love doing commissions. And what inspires you? For those who know me, they know my inspiration, my best inspiration is the rain. I love when it rains. Let it fall. Whether it's a soft rain, hard rain, doesn't matter. I love rain. It's so cleansing. I find it makes my creative juices flow. There's nothing like rain. It's like a blanket of comfort for me, if that makes sense to you. So for all my friends who live in England, I envy them all because I know it rains a lot there and in Scotland. So that's perfect. My favorite artist, living and dead. Well, I'll start off with the one that's deceased. It's Van Gogh. I just love Van Gogh. I've seen this story on his life and I'm just, I don't know, he just has my heart. I love Van Gogh. He's quite the character. It's too bad that he didn't get recognized until after his death. And as for living, as most of you already know, it's Robert Bateman. And Robert Bateman is very dear to me and very sweet, as I have plenty of stuff directly from him that he wrote. This one is from '97. He had wrote me a letter. And then this one also in '97, in November. I put a little protective coating on it because I didn't want it to fade, because I want to treasure this forever. He wrote it on one of his postcards, encouraging me in my art career. And he wrote this as he was coming back from Florida. I had posted it on my, I think on my art page, and if not, I will repost it so you can read the exact words that he wrote me. And then I also got other letters after that, and then he sent me another postcard just for me to use, to give as a gift, but I'm keeping it for myself because he gave it to me. His beautiful creative hands touched all of this and I'll never part with it, ever. So that's for my favorite artist. What is your favorite medium and what kind do you work with? My favorite medium, I'd have to say, is my first love, and it's graphite, and then I sort of switched on over to charcoal, which I love it because it's so dramatic. You can achieve the darks. I just love charcoals. That's my favorite one. And the kind that I use, it's the Generals, and for my other supplies I also work in pastels, soft pastels, which I recently started just a couple years ago. I love it. Again, it's a very messy medium. I'm just prone to messy mediums. I love getting my fingers dirty. I just love the creaminess of it. I also love working with pastels on sandpaper. Just the way you can work it, really grind it into the texture of the sandpaper. I love it. I also work in acrylic paints, which I do my leaf paintings and commission paintings that I'm doing. I'm doing the plain painting now I'm working on, so unfortunately I can't show even a little snippet just in case the receiver would see it. But that one's done in acrylics. I used to work in oils, but I loved oils. I love the smells, I love the texture, but I had to quit because it was really hard on my health and also my cat. Not my assistant now, but I had another assistant before, Phoebe, and she used to get sick when I'd clean the brushes off with low odor turpentine, or just the type of turpentine they say is not bad for your health. Well, it's baloney, because she would get really sick, and I never felt that great either, so I just got rid of them all. Well, I kept them, but I don't use them anymore. It's only acrylics, which I love. I just love acrylics. And how do you paint on leaves? Well, as for leaves, I pick them in the fall once they've fallen off the tree naturally. If you pick them from the tree when they're not ready, not a good move, because they achieve a thickness in the fall after they fell. That's the reason they fall. They sort of start their drying process, and when they fall to the ground they're nice and thick. So I bring them in, and I have lots of telephone books from years on end, and I place them all in between that. It has to be that type of paper because it's very absorbent, and I leave it for 6 months to a year to dry. I have a whole bunch. I should have had them prepared, but all you see is hundreds of tails sticking out, so I have a lot of painting canvas for a while. The only one that I start running low is my Maple Leafs, due to doing the Toronto Maple Leaf logos on. So in the fall I'll have to pick some more. I have maybe 3 left. So but yeah, and then when they're ready to paint after a year, I just apply a thick coat of gesso and I paint. And after they're done, I frame them, and they're good to go, and they last for close to forever, because I've done some and it's been over 20 years, and once they're dry and they're completely done their drying process, what more can happen? They're at their driest and very thick and preserved, and they're good to go for a long time. What are mold sticks that you had mentioned previously? One day I had said that I was doing mold sticks because there's no way I would pay $20, $40 for these things. But these are mold sticks. These look a little corny, but let's just say if I would have bought them, this would have been $90, and this cost me about $3 to make. They are used for if you're working on a painting that's wet and you need to go rework an area and you don't want to put your hand on it. Well, this is only about not even a 1/4 inch off the canvas or the paper, so you can lean your hand on and prevent it from touching your work. Or same as with charcoal, sometimes there's areas I want to go back on, because when I work in charcoal it's everywhere. It's not just one area, it's everywhere. So these are perfect for not smearing my work, because we all know charcoal is very messy, which I love. So I put my hand on there, and it prevents my hand from smearing my work. So I made these 3 mold sticks with actually one of my favorite orange t-shirts that I had, and then there's foam in there, and it just cushions it for when you put your hand on it. Could we have a tour of your studio on video or to go in person? On video, no, not today, because it's very, very messy. It's like a bomb site here, and testing of something. So it's too messy today, but I do have an album that says an artist in her studio, or it's titled My Studio Tour or something like that. You can see step by step, but I will do a studio one day and explain what I use for what. That's going to be on my list of to-do things, I promise. And as for in person, most definitely, I'm usually open to the public. If my sign says open, I'm open, but if you don't live in the area and you want to come do a tour, just call me beforehand or send me a message, can set up an appointment, and anyone's welcome in my studio. Just as long as I'm open, it's good to go. And last question is, can I get a price for a charcoal or pastel portrait? I can't just say a price just like that. It averages between $175 and up for starting at 8x10, or $225 for a pastel 8x10 and up. But what I will do by the end of the month, I'll have price list that I will post on my Facebook page. It'll have all the prices, the minimums. It depends if you have like a bunch of necklaces, a complicated hat. Everything is extra if there's too much to be added, or if you want a certain background or whatnot. I'll make sure I make a list, and so you guys can have the the full picture, or feel free to private message, call me for quotes anytime, and I'll definitely answer your questions. So that's it for today, and I hope that this answered all your questions and it helped you out in understanding what I do. And if you have more, please send them along and I'll answer them. It's just this time I had lots, so I prefer doing it on video, and it's always better to show it. So have yourselves a great day, you cuties, and we'll talk to you a little later, and have a great day. Okay, bye.